Since a massive regeneration project in the 80s and 90s, the Docklands on the Isle of Dogs is now the heart of London's financial district, with a business population of over 55,000. Many people working here take the train off the Isle of Dogs at the end of their day. But nestled in amongst the impressively modern Canary Wharf is a community that's been here for generations. They call themselves Islanders. They've lived here since before the war, surviving the Blitz of World War II and later the recession of the 80s that left the Docklands derelict. 7 Mills Primary, in the heart of the Isle of Dogs, is home to a new generation of Islanders. Teachers and pupils are taking on a challenge. They're going to document their local history. They'll be meeting up for the first time with the older generation of war survivors on the island, some of whom, through their local history trust, have been involved in the collection of a unique photographic archive.
The house got bombed. Daisy, myself and our families.
Together, these two generations will create a short film for a special screening in the school hall. It will be a testament to the island's past and present.
Really horrible feeling, because you know that if that sound stopped, it was going to come down.
In 1981, the Island History Trust, a community project, was set up by Islanders. Their aim was to try and capture some of the stories of people's lives before the Isle of Dogs was transformed completely. They started by gathering together and bringing in family photographs to reminisce. Photos were taken out of old biscuit tins and family albums, and information about the images was collected with names, dates and stories. Eve Hostetler came here as a history graduate in 1981 to help set up the project. She's been here ever since.
When the history project started up in 1980, 81, 82, when it began to get off the ground, people responded to it as they eventually did because, I suppose, it was restoring to them their past. Physically, all they had is what we've collected, which is photographs and memories. But we've collected so much that the museum has become a sort of the island's memory bank, in a sense. Anyone can come in, and they do, and meet up with people they haven't seen for 60 years, or discover an image of their grandmother or their grandmother's second cousin in the photograph collection. In a way, the photograph collection in particular is reproducing the pattern of all those extended interlinked families that was here before the war and to some extent after the war. So what I suppose the Island History Project has done, and why it's so important locally, is it has restored to people their heritage.
This hidden gem of an archive has grown into 5,000 historic and deeply personal photographs, documenting the lives of local people and the changing face of the Docklands. At 7 Mills Primary, teachers and pupils aim to make a film that will reveal the rich history hidden in the pictures at the archive. Mike Grocott has been a teacher here for 25 years. A keen amateur filmmaker, he's made hundreds of short films that capture many of the key events in the school's history.
Our head teacher invested in 1987 in our first VHS. I think it was well, it wasn't old at the time, it was brand new, Panasonic VHS camera, and we started filming all the Christmas productions and things like that, and it went on from there. I've got a draft sort of plan. I try and visualise the end product, but with this particular product, where I've taken on board all the directing and putting the whole thing together myself in the past, it would be really nice to include the other staff in this one, So hopefully they can gain an insight and a few skills, but the kids as well. So to make some real joint decisions, and we've got a deadline that we want to achieve it by. So obviously that there'll come a point where there's a compromise between making sure the whole thing is moving on, and but at the same time to include as many staff and children as possible, so that all the credits at the end are everybody's.
Okay, when I say local...
Mike will be making the film with 6 children, now in their final year at the primary school, and 2 of his colleagues, Ashley Quayle and Anthony Sharp. Both Australians, they're relative newcomers to the Isle of Dogs.
Can I have one person from each group just contributing what local history or the local community...
It's so rich in different types of history. You're talking about the World War, the Blitz, you're talking about the new history of the regeneration in the 80s and 90s, and also the new immigration into the area as well. So it's sort of, there's lots of different sort of areas of it, I suppose. So I think for me personally, I'm generally quite interested in reasons why people live in certain areas.
What would we have to do to find out about World War II? Nahid?
Yeah, ask people.
Ask who?
Your parents.
You can't beat first-hand experience. You can read books, you can watch videos or DVDs, but actually listening to people who lived in those times, it's sort of a rarity. You can't really get that from any other sort of source.
Today is the first day of filming for the teachers and pupils. They're visiting the local history trust to take a look at the photographs and meet some of the elderly members.
I hope the children and the teachers will take away a sense of what older people have to contribute. The children can get a direct sense of how different life used to be, or maybe they'll see that there are things which are similar, like schooling and relationships with parents, that kind of thing. They'll see both the differences and the similarities between themselves and the older generation. If they don't hear those stories, then those stories will be lost to them. They will never know what it was like to live here, what it was like to grow up here, what it was like to work here. They'll simply never know, because it's not recorded officially, formally, anywhere else.
Bringing 2 organisations together that are commonly separate, have ultimately separate ideas and ways of running, finding a common goal and bringing those together, it's fantastic. One at a time. Hi.
I'm Daisy.
Daisy, nice to meet you, Daisy. Yeah,
I'm already looking at photographs.
I've seen quite a few of these. Yeah.
So that must mean you're Daisy Roberts.
That's right.
Yeah. Because my mum's got the same second name.
Does she? What's her name?
Susan Kemp.
Oh, right.
Daisy Woodard has lived on the Isle of Dogs all her life. As a child during the Blitz, she survived some near misses.
One day they had a midday raid where the balloon wasn't up, so the plane came through, and unfortunately it machine gunned. I was one who machine gunned that. Needless to say, love, missed. Guns up the mud chute. 3 really big guns. They was named Big Ada, Big Bertha and Big Nellie. And when they went, the island just rumbled. Just rumbled.
Someone like Daisy Woodard, for instance, her family were particularly keen on photography. Daisy herself had a camera from quite an early age, and she took her when she went to work in the rope factory, she took her camera with her, which is something that not many people did. But Daisy has taken some wonderful photographs of life in the rope factory.
I just love to take photographs of anything. I had a camera my mum and dad bought me, I think it was for my 18th, and it was one of those cameras where if you fixed it you could run and be in the picture, and that happened many times. I took it out here and that camera lasted me for a long, long time. They're all the photographs I took, what I had down the rope works. Just love to be behind the lens. I do not like my photograph taken, but I love to take them, you know. And even this year I had some to use up and I took the daffodils over the park. I just enjoy taking photographs. And the lady who owns a pub down the George, I had photographs of her mum and her nan. So a few years ago I got them out and I thought, well, they're no use to me really. And I took them down there. You'd have thought I was giving her a gold mine. So she had them developed, made larger and spread them all around the family. And that's what I like to do, you know.
Back at the Island Trust, the school group are meeting some of the other members.
And were you evacuated?
Yes, went to Windsor the first week of the war for a month. Nothing happened, so we came home again.
Bessie Boylett and her husband Bill have been governors at Seven Mills and already know some of the pupils and teachers.
And we find it helps if we go out, the children talk to us, don't they?
Yeah.
So, you know, if we see them doing anything, they would obviously stop if we came along.
Hello, Bill.
Yeah, it's quite, it's really quite, so it's good.
Only because I was schoolkeeper over there for, 3-4 years. Because I took over from the original schoolkeeper because he retired, didn't he? I carried on then for 4 years. Then I went part-time. Because I said to Mike 30, I said, look, I'm 75, I says, I don't think I should be carrying the kids around in the minibus, because I used to drive them around in the minibus. So I said, oh, you're all right. I said, no, I said, I don't think it's fair, Mick. I said, I can have a heart attack, anything. I said, and it wouldn't be fair to me, it wouldn't be fair to the kids. So anyway, I lost that job. I got rid of that job. I carried on then as part-time up till I was, 78, 80.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We drove, pedalled all the way up, and then right the way along.
Bessie was an early member of the local history classes, and she's remained very active in island history ever since. She's actually one of our trustees, and she's collected photographs quite eagerly throughout her life, showing her courting, working, growing up, getting married, having her children, her grandchildren around her, and so on. So there's that sort of progression, life progression kind of collection. And then she also appears in a lot of other photographs, often given in by other people.
They called this a set. A load of cargo was called a set, yeah?
As a young man, Ron Waters worked as a stevedore on the docks, but his childhood memories of the Blitz are particularly vivid.
I remember being at home and all round here was just red. You imagine being here now, and all round the skyline here was red with fire, with the Blitz.
So was you sent to?
And it was just after that I was sent away,
So the countryside?
evacuated. Yeah, Wren family in Langley. They were lovely, lovely people.
And you obviously stayed in touch with them long after the war was over?
Unfortunately, that's my biggest regret. I didn't. No, I didn't. And that was one of my biggest regrets. It still is, because they really were wonderful people. So always, for goodness sake, if you think of it, somebody you want to get in touch with, do it. Don't say, I'll do it tomorrow. Do it straight away. Because that is a terrible regret of mine. It really is. I get choked up about it now. I shouldn't be.
Mike's been filming the whole time and come up with some real gems of footage.
The intention was not to do that much filming today, but it was so interesting, you know, what the people were saying. And the kids, they were a bit reserved at first, but the more it went on, the more they got into it and the more they opened up, and then the whole thing just blended together wonderfully, I think. So I got some good footage and also some good stills as well.
For the next stage of the project, the teachers and pupils are inviting some of the members of the Island History Trust to their school.
We'll consult with the children first, see what their ideas are. We'll put our ideas forward as well. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a problem with asking questions or anything like that, because they've got a wealth of information that they want to find out. Because they've had this meeting, it's acted as a bit of an icebreaker for the children. So I think it'll be really good.
Since their visit to the Trust, the children have come up with an idea. They've asked Ron, Daisy and Bessie to take them on a tour of the island. They'll be going to some of the key places on the Isle of Dogs that were important to them during the war. First stop is Greenwich Foot Tunnel. Built in 1902, it has particular significance for islanders. During World War II, it was regularly used as an air raid shelter, but suffered some damage during the Blitz. Ron wants to show the children where the original repair still exists.
And you remember I told you that night about the fires being all around the island, all the night after the air raid, and we came out of the air raid shelter, see all this glow all the way around. Well, my mum's mother used to live at Deptford, and she sent one of my uncles and aunts over because she thought we'd been bombed, probably killed even. Just didn't know, so she sent them over. But when they come to the tunnel at that end, the Deptford end, or Greenwich end, it was all filled with water because a bomb had fallen quite near, or on top. And after that, of course, until it was repaired properly, everybody that worked on the island had to come over by boat rather than use tunnels. You couldn't use tunnel. Unless they all had snorkels, but I don't think that would have worked either. And now this is the repair that they've done. It's a lot bigger and a lot sturdier than what I remember as a kid, and much bigger. And longer. I thought it was only a couple of metres, but look at it. Quite a long way.
Next, Bessie is taking them to Christchurch. It served as a shelter for her and her family when the war had just started. They, along with other families on her street, would climb down into its dark crypt when the first air raid sirens went off.
At the beginning of the war, in those first few weeks, the air raid siren would go. We had no Anderson shelters then, so we would come to the church for safety, go up the front steps, through the door, and there would be a large coconut mat which they moved with a trapdoor. And the trapdoor used to lead down into this crypt. Now, how do you think that would feel?
Scary.
Sitting down there?
Did you hear the bombs and the gunfire?
Oh yes, you could hear the bombs and the gunfire, yeah. And the aeroplanes, like the bombers coming over. You could tell by the noise of the engine whether they were bombers, fighters or whatever. Because you'd sit and listen and tense, listening to the noise of the engine, and then it would stop. It's just that awful silence waiting for the explosion, yes.
The final landmark to visit before they all head back to the school is the Millwall Viaduct. Originally built in 1871, the railway arches were sandbagged during the war and used as shelters. Daisy wants to show the children where she used to sleep.
These, and I slept on the bottom one. And that was where the bunk beds were. And there's quite a few more bunk beds marked, but they're not left like this. A lot of people walk through this park and they don't know what these are. It's obvious you're just going to walk through the park, aren't you? You could hear all the, obviously, and we used to sing really loud. Who could sing the loudest so you didn't hear the bombs?
How many levels were in the bunk bed?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Can you remember where your one was?
This place has particular significance for Daisy. On her birthday in 1940, the shelter of the arches probably saved her life. She tells the full story to the children back at the school.
My mum used to go to work, and she used to work over what you know now as Surrey Quays, and it was called Surrey Docks then. So on the morning she was going, it was my birthday, and it was my 13th birthday. And it's just a number between obviously 12 and 14, but a lot of people say, oh, it's unlucky and all that, which is just a matter of opinion. Anyway, I said to my mum on that morning, I wonder what Hitler will bring me today because it's my birthday. And I started to get tea ready. So I'm cutting up a bit of corned beef, a bit of precious tomato. The siren went, and just that day, I just didn't want to stay at home. So when the siren went, I just ran down the stairs over to the arches. And as I was going across to the arches, across the grass, so this bomb dropped. And I turned round and it was just thick black smoke. But when I say I turned round, it was after I picked myself up because the blast knocked me into the pond, which swings are there now, little children's swings, you've seen them. When I got up, I saw all this thick black smoke and I said to the man at the entrance of the arches, oh, that's my house, that's my house. He said, no, it's not. It's across the other side. I said, no, it's not. So I run. And I ran over to where the house was. And there was my mum, my nan and granddad. They had a bit of blood on them. When I say a bit of blood, it was just awesome. There was a load of bricks and dust and furniture. There was no upstairs. Where I had been, going to get tea ready because it was my birthday, that wasn't there anymore.
You should say to Daisy.
Thank you, Daisy. Oh, my pleasure. Not very often I get somebody listening there.
It means that children are talking to older people. They're not just talking to them, they're listening to them. And they're doing something which previous generations have always done, which is hear stories about their culture, local heritage, the experience of life from an older generation, but which happens much less now than it used to, and which I'm keen to see encouraged. So I'm particularly glad that that happened.
No.
It's the final day of the project, and the teachers and children have gathered to finish editing their film.
Now, where do you want this music track?
That should be over when he's smiling.
When you're shooting a documentary, it's a much tougher call because you can't just take a crucial piece and throw that away and try and substitute it with something else. The whole storyline changes, so it's been a real challenge. So if I put that there, so they're both finishing roughly at the same time, now we might have to manoeuvre this slightly because you might want it a bit after, a bit before, or wherever. I'm really looking forward to everybody coming to see the film. I think they're really going to enjoy it, you know. We've worked really hard on it. We've ended up with a quality product, and I think they're going to love it. I think they'll really like it.
Here we go. That mum and dad? Two brothers? Yeah.
I think they really enjoyed the younger people finding their experiences and stories interesting.
the siren went, and just that day, I just didn't want to stay at home.
Hearing Bessie and Daisy's tales which brought back other memories of the war. And of course, we didn't get any counselling after that war.
What I thought was lovely watching that film, the three of us, I thought, wasn't that nice? We was all down the same street, which I'm very proud of.
I thought everyone was going to laugh at us, and now we talk, but it turned out okay.
What I found with Bessie and Ron and Daisy was that the island's quite special for them. It's quite a sacred place for them, and it's, in a way, it's preserving their memories and their experiences.
I just asked the 3 people that helped us out to come up, please. I've got a small gift to give you from the school.
You do feel a bit sad when something ends, when it has been good and it has made a difference and it has been successful. But then that's where this one ends and the next one starts.
There's a pen with the school's name and you've got a calculator, so you can do all that extra stuff for me now.
Calculators.
Oh, you'll have to for the ones I'm going to give you.
I thought to myself, I'm really enjoying this because it was nice atmosphere all the time. It was lovely.
Very friendly.
Oh, this
You're
is
right.
Thank you very much.
Just like to turn around and show the children there. So they've got a little parcel. It's Christmas come early for them, okay? So give them a big round of applause.
I really enjoyed doing it. It's been wonderful, wonderful, wonderful experience.